Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. More guys, waiting they happen. Guys, thank you for stopping by to join me in this live section. Guys, this is the end of this live session because I have a lot, to tell you guys. I have a lot to show you guys as well. So, guys, I don't know if you guys know this man, Chief Dan Olasi. This man has revealed so many things, guys. Ha. The video you're about to watch, guys, is going to, update you on so many things that you don't know, guys. So this man talked about Mazin Namdekan, he talked about P2B, talked about Obasanjo. He said a lot of things which I want you guys to listen to him carefully, guys. Now he talked about Mazin Namdekan, how they kept him in detention and everything. In fact, he reviewed so many things that you and I don't know. Guys, take your time, listen to this, and I'll be right back. Take a look, guys.
It's the movement for the freeing of Nnamdi Kanu. There is a movement planning a peaceful protest to release Nnamdi Kanu. What's your take? Do you endorse this particular movement?
Well, I will only be grateful to God that such a thing is coming up. Nnamdi Kanu regards me as his uncle, regards me as his elder brother. I've gone to see him at the DSS 3 times. I was at the court where the Court of Appeal gave judgment in his favor. I was at the Supreme Court where the Supreme Court, 9 out of 10 statements, set him free and only said they should go back to first court again for trial. That's an unprecedented move in the judiciary process in this country. You can't understand that they condemned everything the federal government ever did against him, and yet still they will go back for trial. So it is one very touchy issue to me personally, because that's a very brilliant Nigerian that this government or previous government that started this nonsense, they are just wasting him. And you don't know, and this is why things are not working. Ask me, what has Nnamdi Kanu really done? Because he is talking about freedom and appreciation of his people. That's a summary of what he's doing. Tell me what he's doing. Is it worse than what is happening today in Zamfara? That I hear there's a new Boko Haram group called Wolo Wolo or something. I saw it on AIT News. They have taken over the whole state. Northeast is gone, in scatters. Now they're attacking, what is it called, Plateau. I can see in the news now that the Senate is, the Congress of America is discussing the issue of Christian massacre in Nigeria. They want to find out because there's a report now, a debate going on in the American Senate about that incident. Now there is real crisis in this country, and the president appears as if nothing is going on. Look at the recent killing in Benue State, up to today unexplained. There's more than how many hundreds killed in Plateau State, unexplained. Zamfara is almost taking over. Our governor can't even, I think he's running Zamfara from Kaduna. So when you talk about that, in all these circumstances, has Nnamdi Kanu done anything that is almost 1% of what is going on in the rest of the country? Apart from occasional stops and gyration. Tell me what is happening in the Southeast. In fact, the Southeast might be the most peaceful place. Apart from this occasional stuff of people kidnapping one thing or the other. And they do it as a result of, protest on Nnamdi Kanu. There's a pretext to commit crime because Nnamdi Kanu is held. If this was a fairly intelligent government, if they release Nnamdi Kanu today, there will be 95% peace in the Southeast. And that will affect the rest of the country.
Why do we think the Southeast governors are not key or doing much to free Nnamdi Kanu?
Well, that's a very difficult question for one to answer, in the sense that one would have expected what you said to be the factualization of the situation. But of all these governors, only Soludo of Anambra State had gone to DSS once to see him, if I'm not wrong, about a year or 2 years ago. He's gone there to see him, and after that, maybe his colleagues advised him not to get involved. Why are they afraid? The young man is very popular in the Southeast. Let me not extend it to the rest of the country. If Nnamdi Kanu comes out today, Igbos will do 90% of what he tells them to do. To the interest, not just in Igbo interest, but Nigerian interest. Because what has he spoken about in the past? Mistreatment of his people. And if there is continuous and the rest of the country don't want the Igbos, then let them allow them go. This is the summary of what he's saying. How can you can't be shorter than me and be taller than me at the same time? This is a summary of Nnamdi Kanu's theory. He didn't start today. Hazurike has done the same thing. There's so many other people. It was the concept of Odumegwu Ojukwu himself. If you don't want your people, then let them go. And as you know, when people talk of let them go, it appears we are packing our luggage and going. Look at the contiguity. Look at Nsukka and Benue. There's no place anybody is going. It's the same country. You know, the same market, in the same, so much of intermarriages has taken place. All we're saying that there is no governance. The summary is that there is no governance. That's what is causing all the problem. The problem of corruption has become both phenotypically and genotypically specific. That's nothing. It's a genetic problem now. And it is that crisis that government is not even ashamed that they said 139 million Nigerians very poor in a country of plenty. And my president John case to Paris, from there to what is it called, to Dubai. I have never seen a group of people that are shameless. In a country, 774 local governments, I challenge them. Let them tell you where water is running. Where? Water. So people are dying because of waterborne diseases, and they don't care. And it's even more, you see, like I was saying before we started this, if these governors were sons of Ahmadu Bello, or M.I. Okpara, or Azikiwe, or Awolowo, they will say, oh, they had determined their future. They are coming from a position, a background of wealth. But tell me which of these governors not coming from a very poor environment? Most of them, their parents have never been heard of. Most of them, when you hear the history of how they managed to go to secondary school, and finally God bless them, they become governors. So what they are paying back to society is stealing up money. I was telling somebody this morning who confronted me, you know, Dan, what do we do? What do we do? Lead a democratic revolution. I said, I don't have the resources. I can't. I've been in PDP, not even director, because I won't comply with what they said. Yesterday we had a National Reconciliation Committee meeting. Out of 25 members, only 8 were there. So it means that part of those who have joined APC, majority are coming out from PDP. So going to APC, what is the fundamental, reason why you go to? It's because if you're moving from A to B, B must be better than A. So what has APC done that should be exciting to anybody to want to leave PDP? Because PDP has a track record under Obasanjo. There was debt relief that saved millions of lives in this country. Since then, what has happened? 8 years of Muhammad Buhari was a disaster in this country. I said it on this channel and other channels, even when he was in government. It was a disaster. There was no governance. And this president, when he was campaigning, said he was going to continue from where Buhari stopped. He's now seen the true nature of where Buhari stopped. How beautiful where Buhari stopped is for the rest of the country. Isn't that a tragedy? In 21st century Nigeria, with everything God has given us, we don't know where we are beginning and where. If you don't know where you're starting, how do you know where you're going? You know, and we take it as a matter of routine. Nothing is going. It's in our case, they say, let's leave it for God. So we are the only people God created. If we decide to be foolish, then He will be foolish with us.
All right, we'll return to party politics. But the case of Nnamdi Kanu, why do you think he's still being held? In all that we've seen, appeal court released him, Supreme Court admitted that yes, let's go back. Why do you think
that is still a battle of the continuation of the Nigerian Civil War? The war has not ended. I think it was on China's TV. They had an interview. Like I said, the day Nnamdi Kanu is released is the end of the Nigerian Civil War, and that will be the day the Southeast starts being integrated into the rest of the country. Look at insecurity everywhere. So is this government enjoying insecurity? That their citizens are being killed? Like you were saying something earlier on. Why are our governors in the South not interested? Because the boy will overwhelm everybody. It will be an M.I. Okpara. You know, the people worship the name Nnamdi Kanu in the Southeast. Because he represents the summary of their struggle from before the Civil War and thereafter. That's how they look at him. You know? I have stopped going to court because each time I come to court to join him, both of us start crying, and I feel very emotional about it. You know, he's a very brilliant young man that this government is wasting. Would have been a benefit for the rest of us in this country, but this is where we are. This is where we are.
All right, we have gale of defection across the length and breadth of the country, and the PDP seem to be worst hit. Main opposition party, but we see the governors leaving. Yesterday it was Governor Peter Mbah of Enugu State that has defected. What does this imply for democracy?
I must say something. It's one governor I'm very weak at, criticizing, because he has done excellent work. But I haven't seen any governor that passed through Enugu that has done what he has done in under 2.5 years. In fact, when you enter Enugu, you think it's a governor doing his second term. You won't believe he's just doing 2.5 years. All the abandoned projects for Chimaroke, he's almost completing them. Almost. Asphalting almost every road you can imagine in the capital city and some other areas on 2.5 years. So I find it difficult to start to think, why is he moving? APC did not make him. We need the struggle we passed through. So sometimes I ask, they may have reasons we don't know about. It's difficult to imagine that somebody is leaving the known to the unknown. If there's anything APC has done, particularly exciting or profitable to the Southeast, then we say, well, it's a good reason. You can't explain, it's inexplicable that you're moving from the known to the unknown. When we were looking for governance, there was APC, it was existing, APC was there. And then you chose PDP for whatever reasons, you convince yourself with. And then having done that, and you won an election on that platform, defeating the same APC and other parties that ran, and then you suddenly wake up to want to go to APC. There must be something sinister about it. And I'm seriously thinking, you start thinking that there must be some, corruptive tendencies going on. Maybe they take some papers to them. And we have a president in this country, people, I don't underrate him. People take Tinubu for granted. I'm one Nigerian who don't take it for granted. If you're dealing with Tinubu and you're sleeping, you must have your two eyes open. Because if you know, as governor of Lagos State, there was nothing 8 years of Babangida, Obasanjo, that was not done to take that state from him. There was a time PDP took the other 5 states, and he fought back again in second election and took them back. He was the only governor who survived PDP, Obasanjo, in the Southwest. People tend to forget that because we all have convenient amnesia in this country. He's a man I don't take for granted. In 2003, when we were preparing for the presidential election, I don't need to call names, at a strategic meeting for that presidential election, some people were telling Atiku, you have won, you did this. And halfway Atiku said, "Ship down. I haven't heard you say anything." I said, if I know this is the cluster of people you brought to make you win presidency, then it's a pity. Do you know the person who you are running after? He said, yes, the name is Tinubu, his friend. I said, he has won the election. He finished the election more than 9 months ago. Atiku kept his pen. I said, he finished the election more than 9 months ago, both judiciary everywhere. Finished the election. This is a man who doesn't take anything for granted. Even the wife is married in the house, doesn't take anybody for granted. And people are here talking. He's finished the election for 2027 unless God will stop him. Only God can stop him. Okay, look at the disarray, the main opposition party. Look at the disarray we are in. So how do you, in this disarray, plan how to win against Tinubu? Even when a candidate has not emerged, PDP has zoned their presidency to the south. Nobody has emerged yet. The only person who can recrystallize PDP now, if P2B joins PDP, then there's a battle for Tinubu in 2027. If not, it's just an easy walkover.
All right. From all you've said, is PDP still strong to go into 2027 election and expect to win?
We have 9 governors. Now 10. We had 10 governors yesterday morning. Now we have 9. If a party has 9 governors, how many governors had APC when they started against PDP? That's not virtually nothing. What is his name? Muhammad Buhari lost election 3 times before he came up with the alliance with Tinubu, and they formed APC, and they won. So if our 9 governors are anything serious and sit down to plan, because this is strategic thinking, it is not a function of armchair theoreticians. No, you have to sit down. And do they look like people who are strategically thinking how to face Tinubu if they have not been compromised already? And it explains the spate of defections going on from PDP to APC. This is not the function of people who are serious to take over government, Haven't seen any of them. In fact, look at the election of 2023. The governor of Oyo State gave Tinubu 600,000 votes, and PDP had about under 400,000. So where do you think he's an active, hard-working governor? But that's an indication of where their interest is. You know.
P2B, people are saying he should come back to the PDP. Why should he come back to the PDP?
Well, what I'm saying is politics everywhere in the world is not a function of statistics. In terms of, if you look at what is going on in America, if America is not a stable country, Trump had run the place down. America is almost going. In fact, the news in America now is about this lock of what is happening in Gaza. That's trying to give Trump a new beginning. But the disaster in America, his spoken words, you cannot believe this is a country over 250 years in democracy. It all talks like a thug. So sometimes you look at America, you have sympathy for Nigeria. You know, if they are that, horrible at that level, we're emulating them, and you don't see any standards they keep. The only thing that, if you see a Democrat, you say Democrat, you hardly hear this moving from here to there. But the nature of governance is nothing exciting for one to copy. Not when you look at Trump. There's nothing, nothing to talk about.
So what do you think can make P2B excel in 2027?
Okay, look at this way. In the last election, if I tell you honestly, P2B won that election, 2023. I can privately, authoritatively say so. He had 6.something million votes. Atiku had 6.20 million votes. The president won with 8.something million. Even after all the nonsense that happened in Lagos State. And most places in the north, they suppressed his vote. And I did warn him. In fact, about 4 weeks ago, he was in my house in Enugu. I said, nothing has changed. People are prepared to vote for you, but you have to be prepared to take care of them to protect your vote. Because if you don't protect your vote, you're not going anywhere. He's the only one who can effectively and positively challenge this government and win. Because when you listen to him, very brilliant mind, that he said in 2 years you can turn any economy around unless you want to steal. If you're not going to be compromised with all these criminals in government, it's not rocket science to turn this country around, because we have the resources so to do. Yeah? But when borrowing comes up and you don't know where the money borrowed is supposed to, isn't that a sad episode?
And there are those who are wooing former President Goodluck Jonathan to join the fray in 2027.
That shows you how foolish the country is. How did he lose in 2015? They should have asked him. And on an interview with the AIT or channels, I said I met him 5 times as president of Nigeria on his invitation. And on one occasion, I told him that he was going to lose this election. He said, "Dan, if not the respect I have for you, I will walk you out of my office." That's his ambassador in China. He's from Kano. His ambassador at the United Nations is from here. And that the election is finished. That was the last time I went to his office. Then 2 weeks after, his secretary to government, Pius Anyi, called and said to hell with. And see how they lost, woefully. A man that had governance at Plata. And he just threw it away because he wasn't thinking. And I knew what his problem was then, but I won't say it and they are calling him to come back. Nothing absolutely exciting about him. Even before the result was announced, he had already considered defeat to Tinubu. They are counting it as part of his legacy. That result had not. Have you had anywhere in the world that you can consider only when the result has been announced? He considered defeat. That was why the former deputy governor of Edo State, who was his campaign manager, what's the name of that fellow? Ogadome. Was mad. He was still in the hall where votes were being counted. The president has considered defeat. Called Buhari to congratulate him. It happened in this country. Ogadome was crazy. Saying no, they don't accept. And they told him the person you are working for has considered defeat. He said the result had not been called. So is that the character of person? What did he do? He comes from the south, comes from Bayelsa. Was he able to impress anything on Bayelsa? Instead, he was asking to please some people from some parts of the country they believe own Nigeria. That is the legacy he left behind, unfortunately. Unfortunately, because that's the person they used to destroy Peter Obili's ambition. And it's important you know this. Something happened somewhere, and they said that they won't put him up. Somebody said, Obasanjo believed that he used his resources with AIT, my late friend Dobesi, and some others to truncate his attempt for a third term. There are a lot of things happen in this country. And I knew what Peter did, yes. He said, Dan, this will not work. We have taken an oath to try. My brother, if I tell you, why I joined even the People's Redemption Party with Aminu Kano, we stare and look down myself, Aminu Kano, SG Koko, Uche Chukwumerije, and I would say, how can we continue this way? And one day, Aminu Kano was looking at me. I said, I was born in Kano. I regard myself, until recently, I don't feel Kano State as my state of origin. That's what I was feeling. It didn't mean anything to me. And that's where I was born. God would have told me to be born somewhere else, So, but when you look at the level of development and what is going on in this country, nobody cares. So after my interview this morning, the governor called me. He said, please, this thing you're saying might cause a revolution. I said, will it cause a revolution? I hope it will be a positive revolution. That will have 774 local governments and water is not running in one. And you're telling me about revolution? What is the revolution? That millions of our citizens are dying? So do you go to your village to know the problems in various villages in this country? And you see governors move, attending function in their state capital, they are moving with 17, 20 SUVs in the same capital. Under 10 minutes drive, half of the vehicles are empty. All over the country, not just one state, not two, all over. And these are children of very poor parentage that God exposed and brought them up, elevated them to power. All they are thanking God is this kind of, Dubai-oriented kind of lifestyle.
You made reference to third term agenda, but recently, former President Obasanjo denied ever seeking for a third term and even went ahead to say, if anybody has an evidence.
How do you have evidence? Well, he's right to say that because you won't have any evidence. But those who have evidence will not come out to say. But I can come out to say. And he hears what that Dan Olasi said, if he won't challenge it, because he knew what I told him, that you cannot go ahead with this. And that was why he stopped Peter Odili. Because Peter Odili was accused of using members of the National Assembly to truncate third term. So you can see then what is his name? Nwabara. My people said, that is the period of my people told me not to vote for third term. Because it was in the bill that is being discussed. It was in the bill. My people told me not to vote for this. My people said this. So finally, Obasanjo discovered it was Peter Odili who did that and then truncated his presidential ambition. I have seen things in this country. I was called into the villa that the president wanted to see me. In fact, I was at Arondizog for a burial. The mother of my now late friend, Apple engineer, Eman Wokoro, the mother died. I was at Arondizog. And I was told that Kenny Naman, then he was president of Senate, wanted to see me at all costs. So when he called, I said, I'm in Arondizog. And the road was so bad from Arondizog coming out to Maya. He said, Dan, you must have to come. That something is spoiling. I said, okay. I took off with my cousin-in-law, Dr. Kam, and we came into Enugu about 9 o'clock in the morning, drove to Ameshakonana, entered Jim Ken Namanis house, who was staying there, later Sisiono. I said, what's happening? So Ken sat down, sit down. Each time I come to the villa, I see you. There's something between you and Obasanjo. I said, so my friend, that is, we did one or two things together in campaign. He said they're preparing for a third term. I said, which one is third term? He brought out the bill. So I said, tomorrow let's go to Abuja. So in the morning we all flew back to this place and I went to the villa. So I said, Baba, what is this? Extension, there's something they called it. The house was going line by line. Then it was the former governor of Katsina State that was Speaker of the Federal. Is it Masare? Yeah. They were going, and in that bill, there was That was the time they put in to create the sixth state in the southeast. That was why people were annoyed. We would have gotten a sixth state to be like other zones, apart from Northwest that has 7. So the Massary was going line by line, approving things they want to approve. And the House was supposed to approve that the sixth state for Southeast. But Ken Namani, unfortunately, I didn't know for whatever reason, the Senate truncated everything. That's how it ended. So Obasanjo had visited Paris and was flying back from Paris to Nigeria. I was in this hotel. My phone rang, it was Olusegun Obasanjo. Because I had told him earlier on that something was being planned, and he denied that he didn't have an idea about Tottenham. Then when he called, he had landed, he said I should come to the villa. That was how, what's the name of that person from Bayelsa that was then acting or managing director of NDDC? Alaibe. Then they promised Alaibe that they will make him governor. That's the money from my brother squandered, and they have wasted it. You see how God works. All the money Andy collected. He has gone election how many times now, and all money gone. Selling their things now. Don't ever doubt what God can do. If God gives you the ability, the opportunity to help your people, try and help them, honestly. We have a situation in this country, we'll give you 1 naira to function. They eat 80 kobo. And they suddenly discover that 20 kobo will not do anything. They eat the remaining one because nothing will happen. And nothing happens. Nothing happens. This is why I was sad that this young man in Enugu had to leave PDP to go to APC. So what is the reasoning? If you leave A to B, B must be better than A. Is APC better than PDP? And this will have a legacy record of debt relief for Nigeria. What 8 years of what is his name, Muhammad Buhari? There was no governor. We're now in the 2nd year. Like I had given credit to this president. If anybody, including P2B, had taken over after Muhammad Buhari, they won't perform any magic. The only thing is probably the person would have planned better. Before you remove subsidy, you planned and you have a team to anticipate what will happen when you remove it, and you try to find out how to cushion it. But he didn't do that. He just went on after swearing in, I removed subsidy, as if he's talking, giving his wife money for lunch. I removed this, I did this. He don't run government and pages of newspaper. A serious being. Look at where Nigeria is now. Almost irreversibly damaging the whole process.
Then there's the breaking news that Bayelsa governor has also defected to the APC. You just counted about 9 governors you still have, so we still have -1.
We'll say -1. Yeah.
Where is it leading us to?
And I was in a meeting. He invited us to a meeting. We went to PDP meeting in the southwest. He was there speaking eloquently, about where PDP was going and what will happen. This. So this is what I'm telling you, that there are no values anymore. There are no values, no integrity, no honor. So the problem of Nigeria is hydra-headed. It's not just that we are stealing money. It's just like a bishop of a church. On Sunday, they collect money in the church and give him to keep. He is the keeper of the money. He comes into his room midnight, he gets up to go and take some. He forgets that he's the man, he's the banker of the money. He wants to go and take some. Suddenly he will remember again that he's the bishop. This stealing is a genetic problem. So you don't know how to handle it. That is where Nigeria has degenerated to. That anybody gets into office, you just see them, look at them in pictures. You see the magnitude of decoration they make. Go and check who were their fathers and mothers. Their grandparents died poor people. God gave them opportunity to want to remedy the situation with their people. And they eat the money. I was telling somebody, there's a suburb of London called Golders Green. 100 and something houses locked up, all owned by Nigerians. Put me. My principal when I was, my partner when I was active in science and medical equipment said, Dan, is there any school in Nigeria where you people train people how to steal money? Because anybody who makes honest money cannot come and buy a house in London or Dubai, and his people only stay there for 1 month in a year when they come on holidays, and he locks it up. So if you go to Golders Green, you will see a lot of breakups, windows broken, because white people who are hungry go there at night to break them and steal whatever they can. Only Nigerians own such properties. Something must be fundamentally wrong.
Let's look at the state of the nation. Recently, the Recent- Recently, the President Bola Tinubu had the presidential pardon, and so much controversy has trailed that because of the number of drug offender.
Look at the woman that killed her husband.
Miriam Sander, think that killed her husband. So all of this, what's your take?
Was that a national priority? That's the only answer I'll give you. a drug baron, a lady who killed her husband, hasn't spent 5 years in prison yet, and you give them pardon. I said there must be a different conceptualization of leadership, of governance, that this man is having. That who is he trying to impress? But look, as you said, you rightly said, look at the problem it has elicited in the society. All the drug barons who were bringing in drugs, and our young men and women were taking them and dying. These are the people who are granting pardon. Have they discussed it in whatever form? That these are people who have committed murder. People think it's only when I take a gun and kill you. No, I can kill you by a word of mouth. By actions taken or inactions. When you... Every opportunity is a force multiplier. But in this country, opportunities are not force multipliers. They are killers. They are killers. We don't see a government that, like I was telling somebody, when we have programs in the morning, either like Kakaki program, 7:30, 8, governors are sleeping. They don't see that thing we're saying. They are sleeping. And these are the people who are supposed to be addressed. They listen, okay, I do this. I give, what is his name, former president, what is the one we call that is trying to come back again? Jonathan. It was, I had a program on AIT. What delayed me was that Dr. said, come over, let us have a cup of tea. I said, no, the flight going to Enugu, I will miss it. And I landed in Enugu, my phone was ringing. I said, who is this number? This number I don't understand. And I answered. He said, my name is Dr. What is this one that working with the AIT now? He was chief press secretary to Jonathan. Dr. Ruben Abati. He was his chief
Special advisor
media. So he said, my name is Dr. Ruben Abati. I said, where are you Abati from? He started laughing. He said, the president wants to see you. I said, who is the president? He said, Jonathan. I said, want to see me? What for? He said, he just watched your interview and he wants to discuss with you. I said, well, I'm in Enugu now. He said, no, it's not true. Because I just left their office, moved straight to the airport, joined the 10 o'clock flight, and like 30 minutes I was in Enugu. He said, no. I said, do you know anybody at the airport? He said, yes, they have security people. I said, tell them I'm still waiting for my luggage. My luggage hasn't come out. So the chief security officer came out, and then I told him what was happening. In fact, they called him. He said that he's in front of Chief Olas. And they couldn't believe it. And after that, Jonathan went to Jerusalem. Go and check and see the history of this period. He went for Jerusalem. He stayed 2 weeks. When he came back, they called me again. I came into his office. And I was discussing questions. He says, when you left university, I was in class 2 in secondary school, 1973. So when you look at this is our fate. The fate of over 200 million. Are you people even up to 200 million? A country that tells itself falsehood. If you are married and your wife has 4 children, you know that the first truth you tell yourself is your number of children. That after your children, your wife, then you start thinking of your, if you are lucky, you have siblings with the same parents. This is how you start, distributing whatever resources you have. But a country that begins to tell itself lies about the number of people it has, don't you think that we're in a disaster already? Because we're using numbers to share money. So we have numbers that not... I was telling somebody, if we are up to 200 million in this country, there would have been riots in the streets. Because there's so much hunger. When we did 1979, Aminu Kano ran for presidency. I was director of campaign for Aminu Kano, national director of campaign. So he ran for presidency. We said we were in his house in Kano doing calculation how we seize power. So we designated we win about 4 states in the north, 1 or 2 others in the east. I said, okay, that Kano had then 6.something million registered voters. That if we get 3 million, The most popular human being in northern Nigeria then was Malam Aminu Kano. We calculated between Kano, Kaduna, and Borno that what will happen is that we'll have a runoff with Shagari. My brother. Mbakwe, Zik, had 990 something thousand votes in Imo alone. In Kano, Aminu Kano had 800 and something thousand with 6.something million registered voters. And I asked in a meeting, did they lie overnight? SG Koko bent his face. I said, SG, you remember our calculation now? They have in fact told me to look for the ministry I will manage, that they know I'm a revolutionary, where we'll help the poor. I said, we couldn't beat Zik. The number of votes he had in Imo with about 3.something million registered voters, 6.something million registered voters. For a popular, loved son of Kano State, we were expecting 4 to 5 million. That they will be voting until it is the morning. 800 and something thousand, that's what Aminu Kano had in Kano. Zik had 900 and something in Imo. Don't you see the dishonesty in falsehood, in saying whom we are? So if you tell yourself the first lie, that you have 10 children instead of 4. Don't you see that, it doesn't hold?
And then, of course, the outgone INEC chairman, how would he assess him?
I think was it himself or the one he succeeded that Jonathan did not have a hand in her? It was the press people. I think it is this Mahmoud that the press people brought in. It wasn't the party. The PDP didn't nominate him. People were writing in national newspaper. Go and investigate it. Are you a journalist? Go and investigate what I'm telling you. Either himself or what is the name of the one he succeeded? Jega. It's either Jega or himself that the PDP government did not appoint. It was the press people and all these bodies, whatever they answer, that knew this and brought out the name of either Jega or whichever one of them. That's how it emerged. So we went on a meeting and I said, in a country where the only way you win is by rigging. People, the ones people vote, we started hearing new languages of glitches. New languages come out when there is problem in Nigeria. You have 2 major elections in a day, one of National Assembly and presidency. The National Assembly is sent and the other one is caught up with glitches. There were a lot of transformations they proposed. These beavers and that supposedly to help make the electoral process a lot more understanding, a lot more honest, a lot more transparent. But did it achieve that? I doubt if it achieved that. Because the election that brought Tinubu was neither here nor there. Unlike the one that brought, that was the presidential candidate who won, I think Yaradua, and said that the election that brought him, the election Yaradua was faulty. He said that was the only human being that admitted the dishonesty that brought him to power. But not today anymore. Not today. If you look at my friend, I call him friend, President of Senate, you don't know where he's coming from. That is one that is again very pathetic. I don't talk to him anymore. He sent me one function. Come, I said, don't get closer. Because I remember one night, I was in the villa when Obasanjo was president. 2 a.m. Myself and the former chairman of NOA, and that's Idi Farouk. So by 2 a.m., Obasanjo came out. We were seeing some people. They left. He said, Dan, I said, sir, you'll be the last I will see. I said, okay, sir. He called Idi Farouk. He was finishing with Idi. 2 a.m. Who was walking in? Former governor of Akwa Ibom State, Victor Atta. Now, Victor Atta had planned for his son-in-law to succeed him. They have finished the primary. But the person who won the primary was now Senate President. What is his name? Akpabio. Quote me on this. The person who won the primary was Akpabio. Okay. How did I know? My friend Chris Uba.
So, guys, let me continue from here. This man said a lot of things, like a whole lot of things, which I'm going to be breaking down. So, stay to the end in case you don't understand what he said. So, guys, in that video, he said a lot of things in a shocking and fearless revelation. His name is Chief Dan Olasi. He's also a respected political analyst and elder statesman. He has broken the silence once again, you know, dropping what many are calling a political bombshell, guys. He reviewed a lot of things from Nnamdi Kano's prolonged detention to Tinubu's governance style to the echoes of the subsidy removal and the deepening insecurity in Nigeria. So this chief, Dan Olasi, held nothing back, guys. We're going to break everything down tonight. So, Chief Dan Olasi began by addressing one of the most pressing issues in Nigeria's southeast: the continued detention of Mazin and the Kano's incarceration. In fact, he described Kano's incarceration as a symbol of injustice, arguing that the federal government's approach to his case exposes a dangerous double standard. Now, there's something that I want to point out that he said. He said the civil war has not ended. He said until they release Mazin the Kano, then he will know that the civil war has ended. There's a lot to what he said, honestly, because if you check what is going on, it's as if the civil war of that time has not yet ended. The Igbos have been still treated like slave. Like Kano's lawyer said, you see, the Igbos are on trial. The last court session of Mazin and Kano, Maxwell said that the Igbos are on trials. There's a war against the Igbos. Tell me why the courts will not allow Mazin and Kano to have a good medical care. We're not talking about him to be released this time. It's now for him at least to have good medical care to stand trial, guys. So Maxwell said that the Igbos are on trial. This is a war against the Igbo, guys. Just like the same thing this man is saying, Chief Dan Olasi. He said that, that the civil war has not yet ended. It is when they release Mazin and Kanu that he will know that the civil war has ended. So, guys, this man argued that the federal government's approach to Kanu's case exposes a dangerous double standard. He said, "How can a man who is unarmed, guys?" He said, "How can a man, Mazen Kanu, who is unarmed?" Because me, I feel that since they called him a terrorist, that they will bring where he kept his cache of weapon, or they will bring a cache of weapon and say Kanu kept it somewhere, guys. Not even a knife or a broom or a stick has been shown to the public that this is Kanu's weapon. How do you describe a terrorist? A terrorist, they are armed. So this one said that how can a man who is unarmed, who has merely caught for self-determination, been treated harshly to the extent of restricting him from medical care, guys, than those who terrorize entire regions, guys? So this man emphasized that keeping Kano in detention despite court orders from his release is not just a legal failure, it is a moral failure that continues to fuel anger and alienation among the Igbo people. He said if Kano is released, there will be peace in the southeast. Now he called on President Tinubu to show political courage by resolving Kano's case honorably, not through oppression, but through dialogue and reconciliation. So guys, in a rare and bold statement also, Olase turned his focus to President Bola Tinubu himself. He questioned why Tinubu appears lenient towards individuals with criminal pasts. Well, according to him, he said, Who are you trying to please? Who are you trying to please, including those who has drug-related histories, while failing to extend the same compassion towards political prisoners like Mazin and the Kanu, guys? He said, how can you pardon drug dealers and political defectors who have looted the country, yet refuse to pardon a man who simply spoke for his people? I keep on saying this. The crime of Mazin and the Kanu is that he spoke. If Kanu was silent, they won't go after him. They will not lock him up. His only crime is that he spoke up. So this man said, how can you pardon drug lords? I mean, he's talking to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu now. How can you pardon drug lords and political defectors who have looted the country, yet you refuse to pardon a man who simply spoke for his people? So this chief went on to accuse the administration of practicing selective justice, rewarding loyalty and silence while punishing dissent and truth. He argued that Nigeria's credibility before the international community continues to erode because of such hypocrisy. Now, this elder statesman did not stop there. Oh. He also criticized the wave of political defection that has turned Nigerians' politics into what he described a marketplace of betrayal. Now, recently, Peter Mbad defected from um, PDP, he went to APC. Like I said, he accused governors and political elites of lacking ideology, saying even Bayelsa governor self also defected. So saying most defects not out of conviction but out of fear of prosecution or hunger for power. Now, Olasi noted that this defection weakens democracy and makes governance about self interest rather than national service. He said, when leaders jump ship every election season, how can citizens trust in any policy or promise? So, Chief Olasi also painted a grim picture of Nigeria's insecurity landscape from banditry in the north to kidnappings in the south. He lamented that the government seems overwhelmed and reactive rather than strategic. So he stressed that insecurity strive because of weak intelligence, poor coordination, and corruption within the military and police. He added that you cannot defeat insecurity when those meant to fight it are benefiting from it. So Olasi called for a total overhaul of Nigerian security architecture, demanding accountability, better welfare for troops, and a renewed commitment to protecting citizens rather than politicians. So now, on the economy side, Chief Olasi delivered perhaps his most, scathing criticism yet. He described Tinubu's removal of subsidy as a reckless economic decision taken without proper planning and cushioning for the poor. So one thing he said is that how can he come and just say I've removed subsidy on this, I've removed subsidy on this, as if is a child's play. He doesn't know that there are actually consequences of it. Yes, you have to take proper planning, not coming to say immediately they you resumed office or assumed office. You're already saying I've removed subsidy on this, I've done this. No, no, no. There are proper planning. It's not something that you just wake up in the morning to start doing, which he didn't do. That is why Nigerians are poor today. Yes, poor Nigerians everywhere. So he said you cannot wake up on one morning and remove subsidy without ensuring there is a functional transportation system, stable electricity, and minimum wage reform. So Olase argued that what Nigerians are experiencing today, the skyrocketing price, joblessness, job loss, and hardship are direct consequences of policy without vision. So he accused the government of being disconnected from the suffering masses, saying that while leaders fly private jets and enjoy state privileges, ordinary citizens can no longer afford basic necessities. I mean, the necessities of life. Despite his deep criticism, Chief Dan Olasi did not end on a note of despair. He called for a new national conscience, one that's transcended tribal and political line. He also urged Nigerians to stop normalizing corruption, to speak the truth to power, and to hold leaders accountable through collective civil action. He also said that Nigeria has the woman and natural resources to strive, but what we lack is sincerity in leadership and unity of purpose among the people. So, Olase concluded by calling on President Tinubu to govern with compassion, fairness, and a sense of national healing, not vengeance or favoritism. So, Chief Downs Olasi words is not a, will I say, his words may stinge, but they echo the truth. Many Nigerians whisper in frustration from injustice to insecurity, to insecurity, from economic hardship to leadership failure. His message is very very clear. Nigeria must discover its moral compassion or its moral compass before it's too late. Guys, let me know what you think. Let's talk under the comment section. So Chief Dan Olase went further to expose what he termed the moral hypocrisy of Nigerian leadership, a culture where leaders preach patriotism in public but practice self-enrichment behind closed doors. He questions how a government that claims to be fighting corruption continues to recycle the same face who has contributed to the nation's decline. He said, the same people who ruined this country are the ones being celebrated as statesmen. We are rewarding failure and calling it experience, guys. So Olase argued that Nigeria cannot progress with honesty in mocked, or he said Nigeria cannot progress when honesty is mocked and corruption is rewarded with appointment and political protection. He challenged Tinubu's administration to begin its so-called renewed hope agenda by purging its rank of questionable characters and building credibility through actions, not slogan. So Ulasi also lamented the growing silence of Nigerians in the face of oppression, guys, and hardship. He expressed disappointment that citizens who once protected or protested injustice now remain quiet, either out of fear or hopelessness. He said the people has been broken psychologically. They no longer believe that their voice can bring change, but that silence is dangerous because silence strengthens tyranny. Hope you guys know that. This is what this man said. He also encouraged Nigerians, especially the youth, to reclaim their voices through peaceful activism, civil participation, and political engagement. According to him, he said no leader will respect a silent population. Only an awakened citizenry can rescue this country from decay. So Chief Olasi did not hold back when discussing Tinubu's economic decision, particularly the way they have impacted the poor and the middle class. He described Nigeria's economy as a playground for the rich and a battlefield for the poor, guys. He pointed out that while government officials justify their policies using foreign statistics, ordinary Nigerians are grappling with the hard shit realities, guys. Food inflation, job losses, and an ever weakening naira, guys. He questioned why the government continues to borrow recklessly, calling it an addiction to debt without development. Well, this chief argued that until Nigeria built its economy on productivity rather than consumption, the country will continue to suffer cycles of crisis and dependency. He also urged Tinubu's economic team to think beyond textbook theories and focus on practical, people-centered solution, agriculture, industrialization, and small business support. Then, guys, he turned his focus to homeward. Chief Olasi also had strong words from political leaders in the southeast. He accused many of betraying their people for personal gain, failing to defend the region's interest in national politics. Guys, he said most of our governors has become silent because they fear losing federal favors. Guys, what is the value of power if your people remains voiceless and impoverished, guys? What it doesn't even make any sense. So Olase called on Igbo leaders to unite, speak boldly, and take collective action for Mazen Nnamdi Kanu's release. He warned that history would judge harshly those who stayed silent while their own brother was unjustly detained. He also argued traditional rulers, youth organization, and community group in the southeast to prioritize peace but never compromise dignity and justice. So, despite the criticism, Chief Dan Olase expressed hope that Nigeria can still rise, but only if leaders embrace truth and accountability. He outlined a simple but powerful roadmap: justice, fairness, and unity. He said the moment the law applies equally to both the rich and the poor, Nigeria will begin to heal. This is what this man said. Olase called for a government that listens to its citizens, reforms its institution, and reward merit over connection. He emphasized that progress will not come from slogan or propaganda, but from genuine reforms that touches the lives of ordinary people. So Chief Dan Olase ended his remarks with a warning, guys, that Nigeria stands at a dangerous roadmap crossroads, guys. He said if the government continues to ignore cries of injustice, insecurity, and poverty, the country risk implosion, guys. I know what that means. He said, a hungry and oppressed people will one day rebel, not out of hatred, but out of survival. Now, Chief Olase called on President Bola Tinubu to use his position not to oppress or enrich a few, but to heal division and restore faith in governance. He concluded and said, history does not remember how long you ruled, but how well you served, guys. So his words cost deep because they come from experience, from someone who has watched Nigeria rise, a statesman as well, stumbled and now stand at the edge of uncertainty. So his voice is a reminder that leadership is not about power, but responsibility. So what's your take on these guys? Let me know that under the comment section. So this chief also didn't stop at criticizing individuals. He went deeper, addressing the rot within Nigeria's entire political system. He described the country's leadership structure as a house built on corruption. And, this is, guys, warning that no meaningful progress can occur until the foundation is rebuilt. He said the system itself is sick. From the local government to the federal level, corruption has become an institution. You can't fix Nigeria by replacing people, you must replace the mindset. So he also emphasized that reforms must start from the electoral process, which he believes is the root of most Nigerians' problem. He even condemned the 2023 election, calling them a monumental betrayal of the democracy, and I say that as long as a vote don't count, leaders will have no incentive to serve. So he said, when people rig their way into office, they owe loyalty only to those who help them rig, not to the citizen. Important facts, guys. So Chief Olasi also turned a spotlight on the judiciary, describing it as the last hope of the common man that has now been compromised. He lamented how political influence has corrupted Nigeria's justice system, making it difficult for truth and fairness to prevail. He even asked and said, if the courts can order Masina and Kanu's release and the government refuses to obey, what message are we sending to the world? That Nigeria is above the law? Guys, so Olasi warned that continued disobedience to court ruling undermines the very essence of democracy and could push the nation into lawlessness. He called on the Chief Justice of Nigeria and the Nigerian Bar Association to rise above fear and favoritism and defend the sanctity of the judiciary. So, guys, he concluded that segments by saying a nation without justice is a nation waiting to explode. So, Chief Dan Olasi devoted a special message to Nigerian youth, urging them to stop depending on corrupt politicians and instead take charge of their own future. He said youth must realize that their silence is the real reason these old politicians recycle them every 4 years. You cannot complain about bad leadership and still celebrate those who ruined your future. Ulase encouraged young Nigerians to educate themselves politically, register to vote, and participate actively in governance. He praised the energy of the NSAS generation and reminded them that their courage shook the entire establishment. So he said, you have the numbers and intelligence and the willpower. All you need now is unity and direction. Guys, speaking on the sensitive issue of Nigerian unity, Ulasi said Nigeria must face the truth about its division. He argued that shouting one Nigeria means nothing if justice and equality are missing. He said unity is not by force. It is built on fairness, respect, and mutual understanding. If you continue to suppress one region, you are only deepening the wound of the civil war, which is very, very true. So this chief clarified that the agitation for Biafra is not necessarily about separation, but about dignity and fairness. He called on the government to engage in honest dialogue with the South instead of criminalizing the its grievance. That is just very, very true. He said you cannot kill an idea by killing the people who believe in it. That's one thing they don't know. The solution is conversation, not confrontation. That's just it. Even if you silence Martin and Kanu, 10,000 Martin and Kanu on the way, greater than himself are on the way. So you keep this is not the solution. Criminalizing is not the solution. Just you negotiate with bandits, negotiate with Kanu, talk. Because something made him to start agitating. So Chief Ulasi also condemned the extravagant lifestyle of public officials while ordinary citizens can barely afford food. He called he called the cost of governance in Nigeria a national insult. He said you cannot be feeding lawmakers billions while pensioners die waiting for their money. It's wickedness, plain and simple. Now, this man, his name is Olasi, yes, Dan Olasi. He urged Tinubu to set an example by reducing the size of his cabinet, slashing unnecessary allowance, and channeling the savings into healthcare, education, and youth empowerment. He said, a true leader must feel the pain of his people. You cannot govern a hungry nation from the comfort of luxury. Which is very, very true. So, Olasi also challenged journalists, commentators, and public intellectuals to reclaim their role as watchdog of democracy, not lapdogs of power. You know what that means. So he said today, many journalists have been brought or silenced. The media must return it to the scared duty, speaking truth to power even when it's uncomfortable. He praised the few courageous voices still speaking out, saying that Nigerians' hope rests on truth tellers who refuse to bow to political intimidation. He added and said history will remember those voices that spoke when others chose to whisper. So in his closing remarks, guys, he said something important. He issued a direct challenge to President Bola Tinubu, urging him to rise above politics and become a true statesman. He said, Mr. President, this is your moment to write your name in gold or in dust. Nigeria is bleeding. Show leadership, not politics. Heal, don't divide. Lead, don't rule. He warned that every day of inaction deepens Nigerians' crisis and widens the gap between government and the people. So he called for immediate action on mass and Kano's release as well, also comprehensive security reforms and economic restructuring, very important, that prioritizes the masses. He ended with a powerful declaration. He said, if this government truly believes in renewed hope, then let's begin, or let hope begin with justice. Yes, his words are not just criticism, they're a wake up call, a cry of for conscience, justice, and humanity in leadership. Yes, whether the government listens or not, history will remember that one elder that spoke the truth when silence became national disease. Guys, what do you think about this headline? What do you think about this news? Let me know what you think about this. He has speak your mind, guys. He has spoken your mind, or do you believe the criticism are too harsh? Let's hear from you. Share your opinion under the comment section, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth politics. Guys, this man actually revealed what you and I don't know. I wish you can just go back and watch everything he said. Guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.